Does the emotion cause the problem, like parasites or Epstein-Barr or something of that nature? Or do the parasites or the Epstein-Barr or whatever comes up cause the emotion? So which do we work on first? How do we work on it? What do we do with it? And the question a number of times was aimed at that people were feeling that maybe too much emphasis is being put on the emotional aspect when they should be targeting the actual symptom or problem that's coming up in the scanner. So it's a very valid question, and it's one that really deserves looking into so that you're using your mobile scanner correctly, and also so that you're connecting the dots between the various really valuable parts of your scanner. So one of the first things that I just wanted to remind everybody of is that we live in a society that is used to instant gratification. How so? Think about it. Over the last few decades, it's gotten where if somebody has a headache, what do? Do they think dehydration? Do they think lack of sleep? Do they think of the food that they just ate a half an hour ago? No. What do they think? Ibuprofen, Tylenol. Take a pill. Within 20 minutes, you'll feel better. Okay? This carries and puddles out to a lot of different things in our society. A lot of the different, if there's gastric problems, what does somebody do? Do they think about whether or not their stomach's making enough hydrochloric acid? Do they think about their enzymes? Do they think about the food that caused the same problem a week ago? No. What do? They grab a Tums. Instant gratification. You swallow a couple of Tums, the stomach gets coated, the pain goes away, and you just go on eating and doing everything you've always done, correct? So this starts to build up where everybody is so used to instantly being able to do something to get rid of a symptom or a problem that they don't ever dive into the cause or the cause of the cause or the cause of the cause of the cause. Now, why is that important? Because your mobile scanner is built to help you find not just the cause, but the cause of the cause and even deeper, okay? So the other point is it's not diagnostic. Remember, when you see something that says Epstein-Barr, when you see something that is parasites, when you see something that is a medical type problem, you have to immediately in your brain go, okay, I'm not going there. I'm not thinking that way. I'm not going to think diagnostic. What am I going to think? I'm going to think about the fact that it could be cellular memory. It could be residual damage. It could be residual inflammation. It could be recent exposure and developing. It could be there, have been there for a long time. The fact that it can be that many choices has to imprint on your brain that you cannot treat your scanner like it is diagnostic. What does this go back to? This goes back to that your scanner works entirely on frequencies. And frequencies can fluctuate in the body from second to second, moment to moment, day to day. So basically what you end up needing to do with your scanners, you need to look for patterns. You need to look for things that are staying in your reports and the lists where it's showing a definite trend. You need to be able to use the suggestions in your scanner to see if you get improvement in what is showing up, improvement in the numbers that you're seeing. Because remember, you've got all the way to 1 on this end. You've got 5 ideal, and you've got 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 would be where the function energetically is really being effective and could have been there for affected. It could have been there for quite a long time. 6, 7, 8, 9 is increasing frequencies for inflammation. That could be something that happened more recently, or the thing that has a 1 is actually causing it where there is the 9 of inflammation because of it having been there for a long time. It also could be from past injury. It could be any number of different things. So don't view your scanner as being diagnostic. Stop thinking that when it says this, it means that I have this right now. It could be any number of different things. But ultimately, that is the true value of your scanner. You don't want your scanner to just be saying you have this, you have that, you have something else. What you want it to do is show the things that have led up to something, the lifestyles that need changing, and to have the ability to monitor as you change your lifestyle and you put into place things that it's suggesting, that you can actually track the improvement. This is very, very important. Now, if something that is very possibly serious shows up, then what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to go to a person who medically has the license and the ability to do something diagnostic, okay? So let's backtrack again. What does Lauren always say? Lauren always says that the thing that is one of the most important things in your scanner is the inner voice, the inner voice, the inner voice, the inner voice. Why does he keep stressing that? Because it's a known fact that emotions can actually, over time or even short term, cause frequencies in the body where peptides are released, where different organs, glands, and systems get affected. And if that keeps up long term, or if it even is severe short term, it can result in disease. Think again what the word disease, how is that structured? It's dis-ease. So if you have dis-ease long enough in an organ, gland, or system, it can manifest as disease. So your inner voice is just absolutely so important and so valuable. It actually helps the brain. You have the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain, you have the primal brain, you have the frontal cortex that has the ability to focus and concentrate on different things. All of those parts and many others have to work together. And the inner voice just helps the brain to work better. When the brain works better, the body works better. When the emotions are more balanced, the body is more balanced. And so that's why Lauren continually emphasizes that the inner voice is one of the most important parts of your scanner. Now, think of the body parts that they have noticed get labeled with certain emotions. So you have the liver that typically is associated with anger. You have the gallbladder that has been known to be associated with resentment. You have the heart that at times has been affected by rage. We all know stories of somebody that has a history of rage problems and then drops dead of a heart attack. You have the bladder that has been associated with paralyzed will. Even from a scriptural standpoint, if you're a Bible reader, you have in the Bible that the calm heart is the life of the organism. There's also another scripture that talks about jealousy being rottenness to the bone. So if you're one that goes from a God creation standpoint, you would think that he knows what he's talking about when he says that jealousy is rottenness to the bones. There's actually an effect on the bones from a long-term condition of being jealous. So all of these things point to that it's very, very important to use your inner voice and to realize that there is a correlation between what emotions people are feeling and what happens in their body. So let's go back to the original question. And we can see that it can go both ways. Why? Okay, go back to Einstein. Einstein said that you have energy and you have to connect it with particles. You have particles, you have to connect it with energy. It goes both ways. So how does that work with emotions and the inner voice? Well, if there's the frequency of emotion, eventually it will affect the particles. Okay, that's where you see something long-term, where a person is having issues health-wise because of a long-term standing emotion. But how does it go the other way? Well, what happens if somebody hears that a loved one has died? That's immediate. That isn't something that's long-term. That hits them like a runaway freight train. Okay, the adrenaline goes up. There's fear, there's panic, there's grief, there's sadness, there's confusion. Now, is that not going to affect the particles? So that's where you can have it where, yes, the emotion can make it where there eventually is what shows up in the scanner. But there again, you can have what shows up in the scanner be an immediate thing that's going to have a big impact on the body right away. Okay, so it can go both ways. What if somebody finds out that they have cancer? Okay, what is that going to do to the body? Find out they have cancer, that is not something that is going to wait long term to have an effect on the body. Right away, what's probably one of the first 2 or 3 emotions? Fear, anger, disbelief, confusion, all of these things. And what's going to happen when the brain, because of that, floods the body with the neuropeptides because of those emotions? It's going to have an immediate effect on the body. But here again, that's where the value of the inner voice comes in, to start calming those things down and not have it add to the problem. Your inner voice is incredibly, incredibly powerful. So what do we do with all this? Now that we know that the emotions can long-term affect the body, but we also know that we can, another one. Okay, I'm going to backtrack a minute here. So what happens when somebody goes to Mexico and they have a fantastic vacation? They go deep sea fishing, they lay out on the beach, they have a few margaritas, they have some great meals, they just have the best time. And then they come home and they realize through their scanner and their symptoms that they have a massive case of parasites, okay? They were really careful, but you know what? Shoot, those ice cubes in the margaritas, they just came from the local water supply, and now they have some parasites. What is the immediate emotional response going to be? Maybe anger, disappointment, frustration, whatever. So there's another example of something where, yes, parasites could all of a sudden start showing up in the scanner because it's an immediate thing that has happened and the frequencies are there. Now remember, the frequencies are coming from a database that doesn't have every parasite in the world. So even if it lists the parasites, it could be the closest thing to what somebody has. So here again, you don't treat it as diagnostic. You just go with what's showing up and you start to do something about it. But there again, those are the immediate frustration and emotions that could start and affect the body from even something like parasites. So bottom line, what do? You look to your scanner. You're going to see a slide here. The slide is the slide of a report from Inner Voice. Now notice on the Inner Voice, it doesn't just show the emotions. It gives suggestions on what to do at the bottom. Guess what? Those suggestions are going to work whether it's long-term, the effect from emotion that's been building up for a long time ago, or if it's something immediate. Follow the suggestions that show up in your mobile scanner. Secondly, on the second slide that you see here is going to be the body systems. Now, body systems is an amazing way to use your scanner to immediately get suggestions on what's going on in the system. So if you're concerned about parasites, maybe you run the digestive a few times a week, body system, and see that you're seeing improvement with what's suggested under body systems and digestion. Or any other thing that shows up that you're concerned about, run that body system a couple times each week or a few times each week just to see what is showing up as suggestions in there. The third slide that you're going to see here is a PDF slide from the comprehensive. Now, why is that valuable? Because you can look and see where you see 1s and 9s, which show reduced function, and frequencies for inflammation. And you can start connecting the places where those 1s and 9s are with what you saw in your inner voice, with what you saw in the body systems. Then you can take the suggestions that are in common between those reports and really start applying them. Maybe it's B vitamins for stress. Maybe the suggestion says dehydration, dehydration, dehydration. Maybe it says improve the diet. Whatever it is, look for the theme, look for the trend, look for the thing that the brain is picking out. Trust that your brain sees what's going on and that it also has the ability to pick out the suggestion that's going to help you start being able to make improvement. And then look for the trend of improvement. The next slide that you see is the reports on phase 2. Now, how valuable are the reports on phase 2? Very valuable. 1, after phase 2, when you have access to the reports, you have the number of years that something has been showing up under emotions. That's going to give you a clue as to whether it's been something in the short term that's affected the body, or maybe it's something that has been from childhood. Maybe it was in utero, okay? And then it's going to say low cause or high cause. If it says low cause, you know that that emotion on that body part is affecting energetically the function. If it says high cause, it's because it's something that is affecting the body with an inflammatory response frequency-wise. So you're going to get all kinds of clues from watching what comes up in that report from phase 2. It's also going to give you bacteria frequencies, viral frequencies, parasite frequencies, all kinds of things that you can monitor, but then go back to the cause of the cause of the cause and tie it back in with your body systems. Tie it back in with the areas on the PDFs, the 9s and the 1s. Where are they? You'll see it in the report, but go back and look back. Is it something to do with digestion? Is it something to do with hydration? Is it something to do with diet? And then go back to even the beginning, like Lauren always says, and use the inner voice. You're going to want to do a playlist for your emotions. You're going to want to do a playlist for different viruses, bacteria, and parasite components, and run the frequencies to try to balance out things and push them in the right direction. You're going to want to load your supplement library. Your inner voice and your body systems are going to have a lot of suggestions on what you possibly are deficient in. Take your supplements, scan them, see how much you need, and on a daily basis start doing that and see if you see a difference in the 1s, the 9s, and what shows up in the reports. Minerals. You can check for those daily. See if the stress of a different situation, like finding out that a loved one died or finding out that somebody has something serious that you're scanning, is sapping their minerals and making it where they need to add minerals. All 9 body systems rely on minerals. It doesn't matter if the emotion's causing the problem or the problem's causing the emotion. Either way, that mineral deficiency is going to affect all 9 body systems. Check your homeopathics. You now have a huge list of homeopathics. Check and start researching some of those and run the ones that are the most beneficial for what you're seeing. Cell salts. Cell salts are invaluable to the body, absolutely invaluable. You now have the ability to add those in as well. Homeoenergetics. Homeoenergetics are amazing. You have your ultimate emotions, which is all 38 Bach floral remedies where the brain can pick from it each day what's needed to help with the emotions. How valuable is that going to be if somebody has just had incredibly distressing news and just needs some help with stabilizing in addition to their inner voice? Epstein-Barr, DT, helps give the frequencies to the brain to help with something that shows up for Epstein-Barr. If you're concerned about parasites, you have Vermitox DT. It's going to have the frequencies of the major categories of parasites, and it's going to help your body with working with that particular situation. And it could be cellular memory, it could be residual inflammation, it could be residual damage, whatever it is. In addition to that, you have also the ability to use your dots. We got dots at Day of Discovery. How many of these things that you find could you load in the dots, place it on the wrist if you're concerned about not putting it in one of the other points, and for the next few days, let the dots reinforce the inner voice that you're listening to, the supplements that you're loading into your Cephi, the different frequencies that you're running from the other categories. And then you also have the ability to imprint your water. What happens if you take all the things that you found and actually imprint your water so that as the body is hydrating, it's actually flushing out the possible toxins that the brain may be choosing to work on to get released from the body, so that when you scan again, your reports are going to show the progress with the inflammation, with the lack of function. These are just a few of the things that you can do with your scanner. So just remember that it can go either way. The emotion can cause the issue, the symptom. Long term, something acute can cause it where there's the emotion. It really doesn't matter which way it's going. What is important is, what are you going to do about it? Use your scanner in the way it's meant to be used. Remember that Einstein said particles, energy, energy, particles. Just use what shows up, use the resources that are there to work on it, And you will, over time, see improvement in your reports, in your 1s, in your 9s, and just the overall well-being of the body. So I hope that that helped with this one question. We'll be doing a lot more in the future, and I look forward to sharing research with you in the future. Hope you have a great day.